Thank you, Amy.
I'd like to welcome members, officers, and members of the public to this virtual licensing subcommittee hearing. Please note that the meeting is being live streamed and the recording will be available following the meeting on our YouTube channel. Before the meeting starts, I would like to confirm that members and officers are in attendance and can hear and be heard. Councillor Dave Winstanley.
Hello.
Councillor Elizabeth Dennis.
Hello.
Councillor Bryony May.
Good morning.
Councillor Stephen Patmore.
Good morning.
Jasmine Leyland.
Yes, hello.
Megan Harvey.
Yes, good morning.
Dimple Roopchand.
Morning.
Thank you. Can I please request nominations for the chair of this meeting of the subcommittee?
Could I nominate Councillor Dave Winstanley?
Yeah. Can I have a seconder for Councillor Dave Winstanley?
Yeah, I second.
If no objections from the member, I confirm that Councillor Dave Winstanley is therefore elected as chair for this meeting. I will now hand over to them.
Thanks, Amy. Okay, so on to the election of a reserve member. Can I have a nomination for the reserve member, please?
I'm happy to be reserve member.
Okay, thank you. Can someone second that?
Happy to second.
Okay, brilliant. So I can confirm that Councillor Stephen Patmore is the reserve member for this subcommittee meeting. Number 3, hearing procedure. Could I please invite the committee clerk to outline the hearing preliminary, which is detailed on page 3 of the agenda pack?
Subcommittee. The subcommittee will consist of 3 voting members with a 4th non-participating member listening to the hearing. In the event that a voting member loses connection, the hearing will adjourn until connection can be restored. If the adjournment exceeds 10 minutes or it is apparent sooner that the reconnection will not be possible, the 4th member will replace the absent member and become the voting member of the subcommittee. If a quorum of 3 members that have been present throughout the hearing is not possible, the hearing will be adjourned to a stated date. The licensing officer will be invited to present their report and other parties will be able to ask questions of fact on this. The subcommittee may ask questions of the licensing officer. Decisions. The subcommittee will undertake their deliberation in private and will return to announce their determination on the live stream. However, they will not wait until all parties are connected to make this announcement. A copy of the decision will be forwarded to all parties electronically as soon as possible. Are there any questions before we start the meeting? I will now hand back to the chair.
Thanks, Amy. Could I please invite the legal advisor, Dimple Roopchand, to outline the matters for consideration at this meeting?
Good morning, Chair. Today, the Licensing Subcommittee is convened to consider the application for a grant of a new premises licence under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003 for the supply of alcohol between 12 noon to 9 p.m. Monday to Sunday for a duration of 8 weeks of the calendar year, 5 weeks before Christmas and 3 weeks thereafter, and it's in respect of the Letchworth Lido, Icknield Way, Letchworth Garden City, SG6 4UF. No representations have been received from any responsible authority. You have before you 1 representation from another person against the application, which can be found at Appendix B of the agenda pack. This representation is based on the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective, particularly in relation to the sale of alcohol and the increased risk of public nuisance. The applicant has responded to this representation, and a copy of the response can be found at Appendix C of the agenda pack. And within this response, the applicant has offered up a condition that alcohol cannot be consumed by patrons before their skating session. Neither party have attended the hearing today, so the committee can only attach such weight as that set out in the representation and the response. In determining this application, the committee must have regard to the promotion of the licensing objectives in overall interest of the community, and must give appropriate weight to the representations and any supporting information presented by the parties, the guidance that's issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003, the Council's Statement of Licensing Policy. In determining this application, the committee has the following options available to it, which is either to grant the application as made, to grant the application with any conditions, bearing in mind that any conditions should only be added where they are appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, and or finally to refuse the application. Chair, that's a summary of the application before you. Unless you have any other questions, I don't have anything to add at this stage.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Dimple. Are there any questions from anyone else for Dimple? No. Okay, great. So yeah, I would like to invite the committee clerk to explain the next part of the process.
We just need to invite Jasmine Leyland as the licensing officer.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. I just skipped too far. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. So please can I invite Jasmine Leyland, licensing officer, to present any additions or amendments to the report. Apologies.
Thank you, Chair. There's no additions or amendments to my report, but I'll just give you a quick summary of my report. So the application was submitted on the 19th of December 2025, and the last date of representation was the 16th of January 2026. The purpose of the application is to obtain a premise license under the Licensing Act 2003 for 5 weeks before and 3 weeks after Christmas annually. The applicant has applied for the supply of alcohol for consumption on the premise from 12 p.m. till 9 p.m. Monday to Sunday. The nature of the business is an ice skating rink. Customers must make a booking prior to turning up. The customers cannot walk into the premise and use the facilities of the bar unless they have made a booking. The primary use of this license is an ice skating rink, not a public house. A local resident has submitted an objection under the grounds of prevention of public nuisance. A copy of that objection is attached at Appendix B. Redacted information within the objection is not relevant to the licensing objectives and must not be considered when making a decision. The resident and the applicant have attempted to mediate through myself as the licensing officer. However, the resident was not satisfied with the responses from the applicant. All parties confirmed that in accordance with Regulation 9 of the Licensing Act 2003, Regulations 2005, that the hearing can be dispensed with. As a relevant representation remains, the subcommittee must determine the application based on the officer's report and appendices. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Jasmine. Are there any questions for Jasmine as the licensing officer? Yes, Elizabeth.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And apologies, Jasmine. I think it's a challenging one when we have neither the applicant nor the objector before us. So I would have hoped we could have gained from them had they been here today. I think my first query is around the children from harm objective and the measures that the applicant could put in place to mitigate against that concern. Do you have additional information about that?
I believe the representation made against the protection of children of harm was redacted.
Okay, I've still got the broad header in there. I don't have the specific details from the objection, but the category was there. And obviously I think that is a licensing objective. So what beyond what you've summarised in your report and what's in the reports pack, what measures is the applicant putting in place to ensure that granting of this licence will not result in harm to children?
I will have to get back to you on that one. Apologies.
Nick, that's absolutely fine. And then on the nuisance element, I understand we've operated this facility for a number of years. There's nothing in the license that I can see in respect of changing hours in to do with live or recorded music, etc. Could you just confirm that that's correct?
That is correct. Yeah, there is no change.
Okay. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Sorry, Dimple. Yeah, you had your hand up.
I just wonder if I could assist in Councillor Dennis's query about the protection of children from harm licensing objective. And I think the redaction in the actual representation is because it was not deemed relevant as written, as submitted in purposes of this actual application, which is why it's been redacted and it's not before you. So I think the main licensing objective that this representation fulfills is the prevention of public nuisance. And that's your consideration for today.
Thank you for that. Councillor Bryony May.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know whether you'll be able to answer this, Jasmine, but the question that went through my mind when I was reading through the papers was around spectators. So those that perhaps attend with family or friends who don't actually skate. And I'm not familiar enough with the venue to know whether they would also need to have purchased an entrance ticket, which would allow them to purchase alcohol on the premises if we were to grant this. I don't know whether you could expand on that at all, or whether you don't have any additional information on that.
Obviously, it's a bit difficult with the applicant not being here to be able to answer that 100% for you. All I also have is the applicant's response, which was on Appendix C, saying that they would need a ticket. So that's as far as I know. I don't know if there's any leeway in, children being able to skate and parents watch, whether they would also need a ticket to the rink itself. That could be something that we could go back to the applicant about and query that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I think I would like a bit of clarity on that as well, because it does mention about the capacity of the venue. It does say that it can hold 100, I think, while skating, but a capacity for 200 in total. So, yeah, a bit of, yeah, as you say, it's a shame they're not here to sort of clarify that stuff. But yeah, okay. So, any other questions for Jasmine? Oh, yeah, Elizabeth.
Yeah, apologies. I might have missed it, but whereabouts in the venue is it proposed that the sale of alcohol is taking? Where's the bar is the question, and just sort of help us get a sense of the geography of the space and how close the counter is going to be to the ice and to spectators, etc.
Without go on.
I'll just pull up the plan and have a look for this now. Bear with me. Hi, is there any way that I could share my screen and show the plan that the applicant has provided to us? It's just to the left-hand side of the ice rink.
You should be a co-host now, Megan, so you should be able to share, hopefully.
So the applicant has advised to us that it will be the left-hand side of the ice rink. This is the plan that they provided to us with their application.
If you go on
Okay,
to the first slide, Megan, that will show where the rink is.
Perfect. And I think the question that we're sort of leading towards is obviously the location of the bar and then the entry and egress arrangements for that particular part of the facility and the general flow of footfall. So they do their skating session, they come off the ice, and then where are they funneled and channeled to? And is this condition that's been offered up to deal with one of the objectors' concerns actually something that in practice they're able to operate? And I appreciate officers are in the really difficult position because your officer's not the applicant and you might not be armed with all the information to assure the subcommittee of this.
That's fine. We'll definitely go and find out that information.
The applicant has also said with me before about apologies that I haven't actually got that in the applicant's response, that they usually only have people turning up 10 minutes prior before their skating session. That's what they say to have as well. So they don't expect, masses coming in and out around the same periods of time.
Yeah, it did refer to that in the report, and I think currently they do serve food and I think hot drinks and stuff at the moment. Thank you for that, Councillor Bryony May.
Yes, on the plan that you just showed, at the bottom there were some bits I couldn't see with arrows going. I wondered whether that was label for the bar area potentially, the far bottom left-hand corner. I don't know whether I've misinterpreted the plan, but I could see the middle part, but not the bottom of the graphic.
Apologies. I'll see if I
It's
can
okay.
zoom this out a little bit more. This is
Yeah, it does.
So I wonder what that label is, bottom left-hand corner there with the arrow.
yeah. See, that's as much as they have provided to us.
Right, okay.
So
it's not that there's any more there.
Yeah.
That would,
Fair
sorry to jump in. That would, I mean, I know we're speculating a little bit, but that would make sense due to the sort of geography of the building and where the viewing and seating gallery is. But obviously, without seeing what that arrow is labelled as, I don't want to speculate too much, but that would make sense.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing it up again.
No problem.
Right, Brill. Any other questions? No. Okay, right. Now, I would like to invite the committee clerk to explain the next part of the process.
Thank you. The subcommittee will now be retiring to make a decision in private. Public viewing the meeting are welcome to wait and listen to the decision. However, this may take some time. Once the subcommittee has made a decision, this will be announced via the live stream. If members believe that the decision will take too long, to avoid parties waiting, they may decide not to announce the decision live today. If this is the case, an announcement will be made to that effect by the subcommittee and the meeting will be closed. The decision would then be announced in writing within 5 working days of the meeting. Members and officers will shortly be receiving an invitation to a breakout room. A hold notice will be displayed in the Zoom call and the live stream will continue. Please note that as the live stream is ongoing, anything said during this time will be recorded.
Right, is that everybody? I think so, yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much for your patience. Yeah, so I will now, so the subcommittee has reached its determination of the hearing, and I will now read out the decision notice. So the date of the hearing, Tuesday, the 17th of March, 2026. Councillors present, myself, Dave Winstanley, Elizabeth Dennis, Bryony May, and the reserve member, Stephen Patmore. The premises licence applicant was Sarah Wright and Susan Charter of Letchworth Lido, Icknield Way, Letchworth Garden City, Herts, SG6 4UF. The date of the application was 19th of December 2025. This is an application for the grant of a premises licence under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003. The subcommittee has read the material presented to it. The subcommittee has considered the national guidance and the statement of licensing policy and has come to the following decision. The subcommittee has decided to grant the licence for the premises licence subject to a condition. The licensable activity times, supply of alcohol on the premises is Monday to Sunday, 12 till 9 p.m. The condition deemed appropriate for the promotion of the licence objectives is as follows. Alcohol will not be sold to any patron attending the premises until the session they are attending is complete. Effect of failing to comply with conditions explained to applicant. The effect of failure to comply with any conditions attached to the licence or certificate is a criminal offence, which upon conviction would result in an unlimited fine or up to 6 months imprisonment or both. Statutory guidance. The subcommittee has taken into account the guidance issued under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003, February 2026 version. In reaching its decision, it has found that the following sections to be of particular relevance in reaching the decision. The sections are all detailed in the decision notice. Licensing policy considerations. The subcommittee has taken into account the North Hertfordshire District Council statement of licensing policy in reaching its decision. They have found, again, that the following decisions to be of particular relevance in reaching the decision, and those sections are detailed in the decision notice. Now, the rationale for the decision. In coming to its decision, the subcommittee has had regard to the application, the representation, and the applicant's response to the representation presented at the hearing. The subcommittee is mindful to strike a healthy balance between the application and the promotion of the licensing objectives. In addressing the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective, members have taken a balanced approach and have considered the representation submitted. The subcommittee is satisfied that the condition offered up by the applicant will sufficiently promote the prevention of public nuisance licensing objective. Commencement date. This decision will come into effect from the end of the period of the appealing, This decision will come into effect from the end of the period for appealing the decision, 21 days starting tomorrow, or if the decision is appealed, the point at which the appeal has been dealt with by the Magistrates' Court. Rights of review. At any stage, following the grant of a premises licence, a responsible authority, such as the police or any other person, such as a resident living in the vicinity of the premises, may ask the licensing authority to review the licence because of a matter arising at the premises in connection with any of the 4 licensing objectives. The review is a request for the council to look at the existing licence and decide whether its conditions are adequate to meet the 4 licensing objectives defined under the Licensing Act 2003. Ordinarily, a further review would need to focus on matters at the premises following this review. It should not be used to revisit issues raised at today's hearing. The licensing authority can refuse a further review on the grounds that it is repetitious. Okay. So I'd like to thank members of the subcommittee, members of the public, making representations, and officers for all their time at today's hearing. And I now close the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.